Hello, everybody. Welcome to a new edition of Beyond the Pitch for 2022. I'm Kristian Jack. Now, if you like athletes who are forthright and honest and direct and tell you exactly how they feel all the time, you're going to love this episode. My guest this week, ahead of another major international window for the Canadian men's national team, is none other than defender Doneil Henry, a man that I've known for pretty much about 10 years, since he was a teenager to now being into a player who's 28 years old and now gotten a chance with RSL in MLS. I spoke to Doneil last week, days before joining up with MLS team on trial, and also days before joining the Canadian team in the men's national team camp this week for their games against Honduras, the United States, and of course the trip to El Salvador. What follows is a fascinating discussion, a really insightful discussion with Doneil about the honesty about becoming a better player, the camaraderie inside the brotherhood, inside the men's national team, some real open and honest discussions that he's had with John Herdman when John Herdman told him he cannot act that way anymore, the ability to respond better to that and to understand his time, that he needs to be better and more positive around the men's national team. He also talks about forthright time in Korea, where he spent 2 years, the culture change there, how different it was, and some of the sacrifices that he had to pay when he came back to play for the men's national team. We touch on his time in Europe. And of course, we talk about that moment. You know, you guessed it, that one in the corner there against Panama, when it was captured, where he would not move to let them take a corner kick, and eventually the melee that exploded out of that. And Doneil's insights into that are, again, absolutely fascinating. There's a guest appearance from Doneil's dog, Rocco. He joins us for about a minute, but don't worry, he soon goes back to sleep, and let Doneil take over the story. I really hope you enjoy this as it continues our series on Beyond the Pitch with many of the Canadian men's national team. Here is my chat this week with Doneil Henry.
Doneil, always a pleasure, my man. Great to see your face. We're speaking in a cold January Canadian winter. You are back here from Korea, and you're getting ready to go play for Canada again. How are you feeling?
Feeling good, feeling healthy, mind's clear. Weird one. We have 3 important games coming up in this January window, coming in from our short off season, especially knowing how important 2022 is going to be. So enjoying myself, but not too much, and just staying fit and staying ready.
Yeah, being ready is a very important part of it. We're going to get into your career and going to get into that shortly, but you mentioned it there, 3 massive games. You're going to go to Honduras, you're going to come back to play the US, and then you go to El Salvador. What's the mindset? What's the group chat like? What are you guys all talking about heading into this three match window?
Yeah, in the group chat, to be fair, it's been pretty quiet since New Year's and Christmas, where we all just wish each other the best. And just honestly, just a couple of us saying, like, guys, like, you guys really don't need reminders, but we know what's in front of us. So at this point of time, not to do too much, but stay focused, stay sharp. We're that close, so we got to stay perfect. We got to stay really dialed in, and know that when we get into camp, we can hit off where we finished off on a positive note in Azteca.
Yeah, we'll get into Azteca with you as well. When you get into camp, what's that like? You know, you got a smile on your face already. It seems like, I mean, I know the band of brothers has been thrown around. You guys have grown up together for a long time, but it's true, right? It's real. There's just so much camaraderie that's natural.
Yeah, it's real, and especially for me being so far away, and then my commute and my travel when I was in Korea. The national team honestly gave me a sense of like urgency and like motivation to continue to go. Sometimes it was very difficult for me in Korea to enjoy my football. But what kept me going was knowing that I was with a bunch of guys who really believed in something, who fought for each other, and we won games. It was something that we really built for over the years, this team camaraderie, and it's something that I think everybody believes in. From the players to the staff to the kit man to the guys who get sales and tickets done, and for all of the stuff who have to do all the things that we don't even know goes on as footballers, but everybody's dialed in. It's a very special, exciting time. So our responsibility is that much more important, and knowing that the nation is behind us, and we have to deliver.
You mentioned Korea there. Let's get right into it. You've done 2 seasons there. You're not going back. But one thing I loved about you, Doneil, is that you're always open and honest. You've had a lot of highs in football, but you've had a lot of lows as well, right? Like, what was that like as a human being? I remember you and I did an interview when you were first there, and you were one of the first leagues back to come back after the initial COVID, and you were quite positive about it, but I know it got a lot harder for you. What was that like as a Canadian out there?
I dealt with 5 quarantine periods, coming back and not getting an exemption. So when camps happened and my teammates went straight back to getting on the pitch and playing, I had to do 2 weeks inside. Multiple COVID tests, cultural difference in how we approach games and everything, and not being allowed, or it's not really accepted to be as vocal as I am. But at a certain point, I didn't care. I wanted to continue to be myself because I felt like I wasn't true to myself. And a point of where I gave Korea, I gave Korea everything that I could, and I gave them myself. But it became hard, and probably a lot of guys can attest to it when you play for such an organized national team, and then you go back to your club team and see how unorganized it can be. Sometimes it can be stressful or frustrating. And I think that carried on to a little bit of my frustrations. But besides that, it was a good experience. I met some amazing people and stuff. But besides that, I just knew that it was my time in Korea and playing and doing all those traveling and holidays. It had to be done. Knowing how important 2022 would be, I had a lot of games or 24-hour travel days and connecting flights, and I said, getting back on time zone and stuff, I was getting miserable, and it was just hard on the body, so I couldn't do it no more.
I think your dog was feeling your sympathy there as well a little bit. He was hearing you.
Rocco, relax. My mom are psychos, so they just, from time to time, they go crazy.
That's okay. Rocco, the dog, was hearing your sympathies there, no doubt, pouring his heart out for your time in Korea. But as I said, you've been to Europe, you've been to England, you've had big stints there. I remember when you went to Blackburn and then you got injured, and you had a great time there, and you were flying at that moment. And then you get hurt, and you don't get to play anymore. What do you learn about yourself, Doneil? Because you've been around a long time, but you're still only 28. What do you learn about your time when you're in those moments, when I'm sure in the lowest moments, it's really difficult emotionally?
Emotionally, you have to take this game. I think at that point in my career, I did a lot of goal setting and where I would be and what I would be doing. And when I didn't get to those goals, it really was frustrating. It put me down. It was a depressing time. What keeps me still going is knowing that when I got to play, I did really well. It was my injuries that hampered me. So obviously my best in England would probably be at Blackburn, where I was a part of the team right away from the jump. I had man of the match performances, played really well, was thriving, to be fair, and then boom, hamstring, and then one injury after the other. I was golden and never had an injury until I left TFC. And that was a lot of growing pain for me, being alone, homesick, maturing, understanding the style of play, how fast it can be. And the championship game is a very, very demanding league. You play 2 games in a week, high intensity football, very direct, but also it's changing. It's very technical, and a lot of good players in that league. So week in, week out, probably one of the most challenging leagues that I've played in, and know what it's about. But besides that, I keep growing into the stand of becoming a professional that is not selfish and wants to help the younger players and let them feel comfortable or more comfortable as possible. So I never really had that besides Stephen Caldwell or Ryan Nelson as coaches who played my position, who didn't see me as competition, but seen me as a talent and then wanted to help me get better. So I'm very thankful to guys like Stephen, Ryan Nelson, a couple other guys, but those two especially, like, really put their arm around me when a lot of other guys had the opportunity to, but really didn't give me that. And then obviously I have Julian de Guzman. I have probably one of the best Canadian mentors in the game. Didn't have to play my position, but knew the game like no other. Seen it, the best advice. And when you have guys like that, you have Atiba. When you have problems in football, and you can have guys who you can fully trust in and know that they're not going to turn it around on you, and guys who can really take you to the side and check you when you need to be checked and tell you when you're wrong. Like, I've been blessed. But when I talk about that, those are the guys who I really want to imprint my game off of. Because obviously, the game's going to give me what it's going to give me. And what's mine is always going to be mine. So why can't I help the youngers who actually look up to me or see me as a positive influence? It doesn't stop anything that's happening my way. But I know that if I can help them get confident quicker and let them know that they're going to be free to do whatever they want to do, and I'm going to back them, and no one's going to play with them when they're on the pitch, why not? and we got the most fearless youngsters in the Canadian national team, and that brings joy to me, knowing that I'm around that kind of crop of players that are not scared to show what they have and what they can bring, and they know that when they go on the pitch, they can do whatever they want because they know that there's guys who are not going to take shit from nobody.
What I like about you and what players always say about you is that you're direct. As I said before, you're just going to tell it like it is. And that's a lot of players love that, right, at that level. Is there certain ones that you're close to than others in the Canadian men's national team who you've grown up with and who you always kind of hang out with when you get into camp?
Yeah, like, to be fair, like, defending is my passion. So just directly off the bat, then we're going to be around like Kamal, DC, Richie, even guys who are like Ashton, like this. Me and Ashton, we did this whole football journey together through the academy. Me and also have been friends. I can't even tell you. Like, we used to drive together to the training grounds. He had days, I had days, but we've always been together. Also, we're also one of those guys who are. A lot of guys think Oso's quiet, but Oso is very, very direct in how he approaches. A lot of people might not like the way Oso comes off, but that's just him. And you have to respect it. You know what I mean? These are guys who take winning to another level, want to win, are very passionate about the game. But no, guys like Kamal, Mac is also another one who was even developed into a top player, but that comes from confidence. You know what I mean? And he speaks his mind, like, and that's what I like that John he's implementing. Like, guys don't hold their tongue. Like, we speak our mind and we find a respectful ground on where we can respect everything that goes on. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, we're all here for one reason, and it's to win and to make sure that this country gets to the next level. So pride and all those things we put aside, but we say, well, it needs to be done to get better.
Fair enough. Those who are not aware, Mac is Mark Anthony K. I'm sure most people figured that out, but I know some people wouldn't. I want to ask you.
Everybody has nicknames, man.
I love it, man. I want to ask you about the Panama game at home, and you know where I'm going here.
I can tell you, I already know when we won that game.
All right, tell us. I want to hear it all from your words, not mine.
So, to be fair, Panama started that game really strongly, and they moved the ball really well. They trapped us, and we looked kind of flat. Yes, I know it was a shit disturber, but there's a key moment in that whole disruption that happened around me and not moving. If you remember, the first two people to confront, as me not even playing, confront that was Alfonso and Tejan. Why the hell is Alfonso and Tejan going to be the first? So when you see that and the caliber of players that they are, but it tells you they really care, they really want this. I'm like, oh, they don't even know. They're going to be fatigued. Panama just played. This is their third game. They're tired. They don't even know what's coming. But when you have the young players like that who are standing up, who we don't even condone them in getting into this kind of shit, to be honest. But if they're doing it, it just shows you that much more passion on how much they want to win. And Fonzie scores a goal that will probably be remembered in Canadian history for the rest of our lives and onward. And Tejan, I think, scores 2 that game. It just shows you, even if we start slow, if we start flat, it doesn't matter. It just shows you that we've created this spirit that we're never out of the game. We're always going to fight until the last whistle. And at home, we're a different force to reckon with. Away from home, we've done really well, and we've been solid, and we always go with a game plan and being very organized. But at home, it's like a different source of energy and fighting commitment that we know that we're going to still be able to win games, but do it playing attractive football. So that's also something that I've noticed.
I don't want to get into too much about it, but there is something symbolic about the fact that you would not move. I mean, I know that like Canadians in the past, many of them would have said, "Oh yeah, I'll move for you. I'll put my hands out and let you give as much space as you want." Right? It's modern day Canada, no?
I've been there. I've been in a part of that generation where just like you come to Canada, you enjoy a night out in Toronto, and then you go home, you take our 3 points, and you go home. We're making this place a dreadful place to play. You come to Canada, you have to know that taking these 3 points, you can't even think about anything other than the game, because first of all, we want to beat you guys mentally, psychologically, physically. We want to win in all aspects, and we want to make sure that you come here, you remember. So me moving is just me showing fuck. It might be that simple, or people might say I'm not a team player, or I don't care what they call me, to be honest. It doesn't bother me. I'm solid. But you're not going to come here and enjoy your time, and you're not going to get anything easy. So even if it's a 3-second dispute or whatever, like, if I see that it affects you, I'm going to keep doing it, because that much more changes the game. And yeah, that's just me shit disturbing, and I'll never change.
Amen to that. You've been to West Ham, you played in Europe, you've been around, you've trained against some of the best players in the world. How difficult is it? Talk to me about the talent. Tajon Buchanan, Alphonso Davies, Jonathan David, these guys you defend against in training. How tough is it? How good are these guys?
It's amazing. It's funny. Sometimes, like, I'm a joker too, but sometimes I've been telling Alfonso since I was at Whitecaps, after I actually seen him play for the first time, I said, come here. You never run at me at training, because if you run at me, there's a possibility that I will tear my hamstring trying to chase you down. And he just laughs. But no, like, all jokes aside, like, being there, seeing what they have in Europe, and knowing, like, they're destined for greatness. And they're gonna relish there, and you can see it. A lot of boys are, now that the national team is doing so well, a lot of guys we're getting the respect. And it's not no more only about hockey. It's about, wow, this Canadian national team. Wow, we just had the best year of our national team history, with how many points we've dropped and how low we are in the rankings. And it's only going to get better, because there's younger players out there who are Canadian, who are now saying, well, I want to play for Canada, or coming through the ranks and are already in Europe and we don't even know. But now people want to play for us. I'll never forget, was it the Panama game? I get a DM from someone that I know really well, and he's like, hey, like, how do I get involved? How do I want to play for Canada? You know what I mean? This is a guy I grew up with, Ike Ugbo, who's like, this is Ike saying he wants to be a part of Canada. This is no longer we have to chase and beg people to play for us, because that's not what we're into anymore. We've changed the culture. Why do you want to play for us? Okay, this is a brotherhood. Like, what can you bring to this shirt? Because wearing this shirt means more than just playing and selfishly about you. It's a lot more than that. So things have to be the right fit. Things need to be done the right way. And if it's not a fit, we don't need to change too much to a machine that's working properly.
So you actually went out your way to make sure that he had the right intentions before he wanted to come over.
100%. 100%. Ike is a good player. He's a good person. I've known him. He's done really well. So to talk about his character and whatnot, I already knew that his head was on right. But when it comes to like football and joining something, it's bigger than me. It's bigger than Ike. Okay, you are now sacrificing yourself for this team. Will you be able to not play or start every single game? Will you be able to change your role sometime when you go into that? Because this is all the things, like, yes, everybody wants to play, rightfully so. And guys deserve to play who sometimes have to put down the shirt. It's 3 games in a week. You can't play all the games. And some guys have hard conversations, but what are you in this for? And I think that John has done an amazing job with being vocal and being straight up and clear, because I'm also a player that needs to know why I'm not playing, or like, I like that for myself. So a lot of guys like that, or like to know, or, you know, so it's not really passive or something like that. So no, respectfully, like, it's been good. And when it makes sense, then you can agree, and then you're always going to be on board, because at the end of the day, it's about that one team, one voice, and getting the win.
And am I right? And I might be wrong here, so I don't want to put words in your mouth, but he's given you individual missions, as he not to say you're not playing this one, but you're going to play the next one. For example, you played against Mexico in the Gold Cup semi, and you were immense for 99 minutes. Again, the United States game, you had that game in Kansas City. So is it one of those where, as long as you know and you respect, and he comes through and he gives you that start, when you know that you can respect that? Yeah.
So even like, if you don't remember, I was pissed off in the Gold Cup, sorry, when I didn't play against the US in there. So even the Gold Cup, like, it was a tournament where I expected more, but I didn't play much. So mentally I wasn't in it. But we had conversations, and that's why I say I respect John the most, because like, we deal with things like men. Like, we're not gonna like I can have a shit day. Like, shit days, everybody has like days where they're not gonna be their 100% self. But like, I wasn't myself, and he told me, like, you can't do this anymore. Like, you can't I need you at a certain level. Guys look up to you. And like, I look at myself and say, yeah, to be fair, he's not wrong. I can be pissed off for a day or two, but he's expecting more out of me as one of his older leaders in this team. So when I knew that I was getting the US game in Nashville, like I was ready. Like I already knew like this is my chance. Like, you know what I mean? So it's not that John doesn't like he believes in his players because he wouldn't field you if he didn't believe in. It's just getting the opportunity and knowing that you're mentally in it and ready to play. So rightfully so. Like a lot of guys know their mission, and we know like if we're not gonna, we know when we're not starting and stuff, right? Because that's important too because it's a different type of mentality switch. Whereas at least you can know your role. You can be pissed off for that night, but then you have to be back on. You need to be focused on making sure that when you do come on, you make a difference instead of just being down and being sombering around. We don't tolerate that for long.
Doneil, because of your experience, your candidness, I think you're one of the best people to ask for this, and also because you played the US and Mexico pretty recently, and again the US are coming up. Have you noticed a different vibe from the way they're treating you, from the way that they're eager to play you, prior to when they used to play you before, that they feel like they're in more of a test here now when you get on the pitch?
Teams can't play as freely as they used to play against us because first things first, we're going to fight and we're going to battle. So respectively, before you earn that right to play the attractive, beautiful pool ball, it's going to be a grind. It's going to be a fight. We cover space a lot quicker instead of that more defensive approach where we allow teams to come and play how they want to play at our home or wherever. We don't allow that. And that's just changing mentality. So rightfully so. The tactics and the information we get, we will never go into a game unprepared. We will never. So when you have that and you have that visual awareness and then you have the talent that we have and the willing to win and the physical capacity, we can go into any game and win it. So on the day, if everything goes right and everything is clicking, like, you know, I know how hard the staff works, the analysts, everything to give us the data that we need. And all of that is done for us to have the opportunity to go out there and be our best selves. So it's really appreciated and definitely, no, it's great.
Well said. What about the Ice Decker? How do you look back at that? Because obviously it was an unbelievable night for Canadian soccer. How can we forget your I don't know what to say. How do I call it, the thing that you did in the first 60 seconds? What I don't even know how to describe that, but it was certainly a message sent, my friend. And then obviously you didn't make it through the first half. How do you look back individually and collectively for that?
Yeah, individually, I could care less. We got the 3 points, a massive 3 points. We got all wins that window. It was 2 games, Costa Rica, and it took 6 points and put us in the top of the group. What made it tricky was obviously the weather condition for both teams, but the whole lead up to that game and everything was done and executed at a level that I've never seen it done before. We did things that not a lot of even professionals would be able to do or be able to witness or experience. But Edmonton was special because I didn't even know that was called the City of Champions or whatever. Yep. And the build up and knowing the hockey, I know nothing about hockey, but I was able to kind of understand the culture of that and the people and the fans and the supporters and having even the nation behind us. Like, it was amazing. Yes, I still have frostbite and I still can't feel my ring finger, but I would rightfully do it again if it means winning those type of big games and seeing players show up for that occasion. When I think about myself, obviously not being able to do it because I was feeling my hamstring for like about 3 days after that. Prior to that, but I told John, I'm like, if I feel good, I'll play. But if I don't feel, I would never put the team in jeopardy selfishly because it's bigger than me. Still trusting me and going out there and then knowing for the occasion. Once I felt it again, I knew that it would be in the back of my head. I just told him, get Steven ready because like he's the right man for the job. I wouldn't be able to be my full self. So of course he trusted me with it. I couldn't finish the game, but the game finished with us winning, and the boys were immense. And the guys who finished the game and the guys who started the game collectively, it was amazing. So we got the points that we needed, and we look forward to January with it.
Yeah, you should. A couple more with you. And again, thanks so much. These stories have been immense. What would it mean to you for this group of players and for you to make it to Qatar 2022? Can you put that into words for you and your family?
A dream come true. I think any footballer that aspires to play at the top level knows that going to the World Cup is the highest level of football you can play. Representing your country is obviously an honor and a privilege. Going to the World Cup and playing in the biggest tournament watched in all world sports, if I'm not mistaken, is a dream come true. No one can take that from you. And doing it the way we did it, really starting from the bottom, not being respected. How hard it is to be a foreigner in another country and know that you're not even respected in football. To now being someone's like, oh, like Canada's dangerous here. Like, like they really think about it. They do watch our games. They do know that we have players of high quality. And to do that with guys who 2-3 years ago, getting a call from John, spending 2 hours on the phone call with you, never having a coach want to know why you haven't been successful, why success hasn't been here, what's been the problem. I've never had a coach talk to me for 2 hours before he got the job and wanted to talk to I'm sure he had 50 calls because the group of players was big, but he completely changed everything. To see that, and then through COVID and not knowing what's going to happen with how we would be able to qualify and how we would do the point system or whatever, still be on Zoom calls, waking up at 4 a.m, 5 a.m. to be on Zoom calls because the time zone is that different. But showing my commitment to my nation and knowing how much other work goes into it, why we weren't even playing, just keeping mentally into it and believing in something that you couldn't even see at a point. Now we can see it. We're 6 games away, but when we had to go to those little countries and play those games and grind out wins, we had a lot of hard games in those places, and everybody stuck with it. But what that brought was valuable game time to guys like even Taylor and Alfonso, who still weren't playing international games as much, to now see them play against CONCACAF giants and thriving. Those games were important. Those games helped their development. John David scoring a hat trick or 4 goals in his debut. Like, they're the game that guys remember. Well, I remember because I was there and I seen it, and I'm like, oh, this guy is special. He's a silent guy, but he's an assassin. And then you see him killing the League One. Like, this is what I remember. Seeing them grow and seeing them develop and finding their voice and finding their stride in the men's game. That's what's special to me.
Fantastic stuff. You're still only 28, Doneil. You've been around a long time, but they say, you can peak late as a centre-back. Do you feel like you've still got the best in front of you? I know your next move is going to be announced in the next few days or so, club-wise, but way over 200 professional games now. How are you feeling about your own individual game as a defender? You need those reference points, right? You need those games played. How do you feel better now as a defender than you did 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago?
I felt like my younger Doneil relied on raw brute strength and using my speed and my power to get back and make these wild challenges and save. Sometimes that looked amazing, sometimes looked like, what the hell are you doing? But I found my maturity or my balance in how to be my best self. I think that my soccer IQ or intelligence, just because of how many repetitions of defending and situations that I've been in, that I know how to pick the best situation. Obviously, getting older is just getting stronger and making sure I'm working on my body the most. I think I know my body really well now and how I need to be, how I need to behave, how I need to act, and I think obviously just being more vocal and using my voice as my biggest tool is most important. And I think that what center backs needs to do the most is, the less they talk about us, the better. I think just playing simple and just keeping it to a minimum and just organizing and just being that leader and that support system is my job. And obviously when we get to have, if I'm not mistaken, we are have the best defense in CONCACAF when it comes to goals against, etc. That's organization, that's principle, that's looking at footage, that's looking at stuff with John and Jason, Stevie, and knowing that they always talked about this defense as being a weak point of the team, I'm thinking, what makes us any difference other than what those guys make more money or what they're big names in Europe and what, as a collective unit, there's no better team. There's no better team. And I'll stick with that comment. I'll stick with that statement until my time here is done. But there's no better team or no other players that want it more than the guys in this red jersey.
Yeah, I can feel it. I can feel the energy. I know I'd love to be your teammate. You know, you just ooze the confidence and the motivation, my man. Listen, this has been wonderful. A great conversation. And hopefully, as the purpose of these is for our fans and viewers in this country who continue to fall in love with the sport, to get to know you and get to know these personalities more and more. I can't thank you enough for sharing a side to you and the candidness, my man. And good luck for 2022. It's going to be a fantastic year.
Thank you, KJ. Anytime, my brother.
What a wonderful discussion with Doneil. My thanks to him again as he joins the Canadian men's national team after that discussion. Really fascinating stuff. Lots of discussions to get into. I love how he smiles when he talks about Azteca. The Ike Ukbo story was fascinating as well, where he vetted him and really wanted to know whether he would be part of that. He couldn't just see a player who would make that team better. He wanted to know whether he would fit, understanding he wasn't going to play every single minute, and really protecting that culture that Doneil has played a big part of with the men's Canadian national team right now as well. Talked about his mentors. I can't believe he talked about some of those guys as well. Really honest discussion. So again, a massive thanks to Doneil. A reminder, 3 games coming up live on OneSoccer and of course on Sportsnet across Canada. Thursday night, a massive trip to San Pedro Sula in Honduras in the 9th game of World Cup qualifying. They are back in Canada on Sunday at Tim Hortons Field in Hamilton against the United States, followed by a trip to El Salvador. And that is it. 3 games in very short space of time, and games 9, 10, and 11 in the World Cup qualifying window. One more to come after this. If you've missed them, please check out our channel. So many other discussions with too many players to mention right now, but the likes of Jonathan Osorio, Richie Larea, and others that I've discussed on this Beyond the Pitch platform, Atiba Hutchinson, Tajon Buchanan, where they've opened up to me in the past. The purpose of these discussions is for you, a nation and a world, to get to know some of these players away from the pitch and show their personalities. And if you're still with me now, I can't thank you enough for sticking the whole thing through. And I hope you really enjoyed the discussion and found a new form of admiration and love for the defender, Doneil Henry. He certainly loves Canada, and he certainly loves his fans as well. Thanks again for watching and for being along with us. Enjoy the games. God bless. Be healthy. Take care of each other. And we'll speak to you soon.